Hey guys, welcome to the first Days of Our Lives weekly recap here on the YouTube channel. As I like to say, watch my exclusive introduction to get some information on me in the world of soap operas. But let's get to the first video. This week, Days of Our Lives was a really emotional week for a lot of Days of Our Lives fans. We all know Frances Reed, who played Alice Horton, passed away a couple of months ago, and we've been waiting for this tribute for a couple of months, and I'm gonna save that for the best for last. So let's get into other storylines that we saw this week on the show. And if you do hear that from time to time, again, that is my aim. The Chloe storyline with her getting married, her and the Dr. Jonas, Collie, Melanie, Philip thing. I mean, it took a dramatic turn this week. I mean, this may have been why she was trapped in a hospital bed and unable to move the entire time. I mean, Collie, what she basically did was burst into the bed, ready to make a declaration. By that point, everyone was so bored with the story that they looked like they weren't sure how to react. I mean, they were almost like those unfortunately souls in dance marathons who ended, begging someone to shoot them because they were so exhausted by endless movements that go nowhere. Collie's outbursts turned out to be different this time. I mean, she wasn't there to tell the doctor that this diva had been playing bedroom billiards with someone else. Instead, she really dropped one of the bombshells that Chloe is pregnant. Now, unless you guys have been living underneath a rock for the last couple of months, basically what happened was Chloe was pregnant the first time around. She lost the baby. It was Dr. Daniel Jonas's baby. We all know that. Then supposedly what happened was she thought that Daniel Jonas and Collie were sleeping around, so she decided to cheat on Dr. Jonas and sleep with Philip. Now, this is really going to be a twisted turn of event here, because now Daniel, he says that this is self-proclaimed a miracle. Chloe was so batified by this that, she was dumbstruck. And like I said, it's still unclear if Philip or Daniel is the father. Now, if this happens, what's going to happen with Melanie and Philip? Are they going to break up? We'll just have to wait and see as, the story progresses. But then again, as Chloe always says, this is Salem, so the elevator could have impregnated her when sparks flew and she went all the way down on it. Number 2 storyline that I want to talk about this week was, Brady. I mean, he sobered up but was still miserable. He and Ariana already broke up, so they couldn't do that again. But they did remind each other that they were broken up to fill the time. I mean, he even told Nicole, who was surprisingly unexcited to see what she's been striven for finally come to fruition. I mean, maybe she was just distracted because, EJ keeps doing a lot of these scare tactics on her and, trying to get her back into prison for this time, really trying to get Ariana to go to jail. She's trying to get Ariana in trouble because she thinks, she is the Salem mugger. Now, we all know that Ariana is not the Salem mugger. We all know it's Hope. We don't know when that eventually people are gonna find out about it in Salem. Somebody's gonna have to spill the beans at some point, but when will that happen? And another thing I like about Ariana, the person, Ariana and Brady, is they got great connection on, when they're acting. I mean, the actor and actresses that play, they weren't on Passions, and they had great chemistry on Passions. And they do have great chemistry on Days of Our Lives, and you consider them maybe, you know, a power couple. And, you know, we'll have to wait and see that. And of course, the number one big storyline this week was, you know, the tribute that they did to Alice Horton. As I've mentioned, you know, Frances Reed passed away a couple of months ago, and you know what? I was a little disappointed with this tribute, and this is how they should have done this tribute. I think they should have just, you know, done an entire episode full of tributes. Instead of storylines for this, you know, one episode, they should have got all the characters, you know, just united. Pretty much like you saw with Tom Horton, his funeral in 1994, and I remember that because I was 10 years old watching that. And, you know, they should have had every person that was affiliated with Days of Our Lives, every character, you know, back for that tribute. I mean, Frances Reed was, you know, the most important figure on that show since its very beginning in 1965 all the way up to, you know, her last appearance in 2007. However, I do have to give props for the producers for Days of Our Lives, because, you know, they brought back some people from the past. They brought back Mike Horton. He only had to do 1 day of shooting. He only signed a contract for 1 day. You brought back Jennifer Defoe. I wish they would have brought Jack Defoe back for this tribute. You brought back Laura Horton, you know, who hasn't been on that soap for God knows when. You brought back Kerry Brady, who hasn't been on that soap for quite a while, and I'm not sure. So, you know, it's just, I mean, it was a good tribute, but they should have done more with it. That's what I'm saying. They should have just had an entire episode of the funeral and, you know, that kind of stuff. So, you know, I think maybe that was the highest rated show on Friday. I mean, a lot of people wanted to watch that tribute. I mean, people that were probably working, I mean, had their DVRs. You just have to wait for the DVR numbers to show up. So, you know, overall, for me, I did like some development storylines this week. Next week, Days of Our Lives is only going to be on for 3 days, mainly because Thursday and Friday they want to show the Wimbledon. I can understand that, you know, Wimbledon. I like watching tennis. I mean, I love the Wimbledon tournament, and I know that people already ticked off, like, why do they have to do that? Why do they have to put freaking Wimbledon on NBC for like 2 days? I mean, they're on ESPN, obviously. They should keep